As my grandmother said when she was crowned, coronations are a declaration of our hopes for the future.
I think this is one of the most significant royal portraits done in the 20th century.
Have sold it for more than $18,000. The stamp on the photo reads February 1981, taken sometime before she moved into Buckingham Palace February 23rd of that year.
The royal palace is engulfed in a scandal of epic proportions. Prince William has taken drastic action, stripping Camilla of her title after she was caught selling Princess Diana's cherished portrait.
A photo of a young Princess Diana and a friend on a skiing holiday, which a British tabloid decided not to publish, is going on sale in the US.
This betrayal has unleashed a firestorm of outrage, fracturing the monarchy's core. But what exactly drove Camilla to this shocking act? How did William uncover her scheme? Join us as we dive into the electrifying drama, unravel the explosive confrontation, and reveal the seismic fallout that's shaking the royal family to its very foundations. The stripping of a crown. William had long wished for a quiet resolution, something that would shield both the monarchy and his own conscience. But that fragile hope disintegrated the moment Harcourt, his private secretary, laid a new report on his desk. It was not another rumor or passing whisper. It was evidence. Diana's most beloved portrait, the oil painting that had hung for years as a quiet reminder of her grace and tragedy, had surfaced in the possession of a private collector. Not on display, not in a museum, sold.
Of course, Princess Diana is probably the most famous resident from the history of Kensington Palace. We have a new display of her dresses, beautiful dresses.
The betrayal was no longer abstract. It was deliberate, targeted, and undeniable. A piece of Diana, their mother, their memory, the nation's icon, had been traded away for profit. For William, it was more than theft. It was a wound torn open again, a violation not just of property, but of sacred trust. On a damp, gray London morning, the kind where the skies sagged heavy with sorrow, as though the city itself mourned, William made his decision. He summoned his closest advisors into a chamber steeped in history, its walls lined with portraits of monarchs who had battled their own storms. Around the oak table, the air was thick, their words chosen carefully, sharpened like blades. They drafted a statement, brief, precise, unflinching. Every word carried weight, crafted to uphold the crown without letting the monarchy collapse under scandal. That afternoon, William faced the press. Flashbulbs exploded like lightning, the air tense with anticipation. Before him was not just the media, but the world, waiting for the verdict. He felt the presence of his ancestors in the room, silent yet stern, urging him to carry the burden of kingship. His voice was steady, stripped of flourish. Effective immediately, he declared, Camilla will no longer hold the title of Queen Consort.
May thy servant Camilla, who wears this crown, be filled by thine abundant grace and with all princely virtues. Reign in her heart, O King of Love.
No explanations followed, no attempt to soften the blow, just one surgical sentence, as sharp and final as a blade drawn across centuries of tradition. The world reeled. Within moments, headlines screamed across continents. Social media ignited, torn between two camps, those who praised William as the guardian of his mother's legacy and those who condemned the act as a brutal betrayal of family bonds. Was it justice? Was it vengeance? Or was it both? Inside Buckingham Palace, the effects were immediate and merciless. Portraits were quietly rearranged, ceremonial inscriptions altered, her name excised from programs and schedules. It was as if history itself were being rewritten in real time. Behind steel vault doors, the monarchy's treasures, what remained of them, were locked tighter, guarded with new layers of suspicion. Camilla disappeared from public life almost overnight. No balcony appearances, no handshakes at galas, no carefully worded statements, she was simply gone, swallowed by silence. Rumors spread quickly: exile in the countryside, retreat abroad, or disgrace cloaked in health excuses. Yet nothing was confirmed, and her absence became its own echoing presence. William, meanwhile, withdrew to his study, alone, beneath the watchful eyes of ancestors immortalized in oil and frame. He sat in the heavy silence of decision. He had done what he believed necessary, protected the crown, defended his mother's memory, and sealed the cracks before they widened into ruin. Yet he knew the cost. Bonds torn apart would not mend easily, if at all. The monarchy might endure, but it would bear scars that no ceremony could conceal. The portrait had never been mere canvas and paint. It was a fragment of Britain's soul, a mirror of memory, continuity, and grief. To see it bartered away was to witness not just betrayal of family, but of nation. And so the whispers that once drifted like faint drafts in palace corridors grew into thunder rolling across continents. A crown had been defended, a title stripped. The monarchy survived, but its legacy was scarred forever. Stripping her reflected not only betrayal but also deep-rooted tensions that long strained their relationship. What were they like before the sanction? Let's talk about the fragile bond between them. The uneasy bond between Camilla and William. For years, whispers about the complicated bond between Prince William and his stepmother, Queen Camilla, have lingered in the shadows of the royal household. Unlike the polished smiles we see at official events, their relationship hasn't always been smooth. In fact, royal expert Christopher Anderson once revealed that William has never fully embraced Camilla. According to Anderson, the prince has mostly tolerated her presence, and the queen herself has always been a little afraid of him. That fear, Anderson said, was evident from the very first time they met. Camilla was reportedly so shaken that she needed a stiff gin and tonic afterward to calm her nerves. It's an image that stirs curiosity. A future king carrying himself with calm authority, while beside him stands a woman whose name has often been tied to whispers of scandal.
After tying the knot in 2005, the Queen Consort is sharing what has kept their marriage, which was Charles' second following his divorce from the late Princess Diana in 1996 after 15 years together, going strong.
Now looking uneasy, perhaps even overshadowed in his presence. But as time has a way of reshaping stories, the tension between them did not remain frozen. According to a close family confidant, William's stance toward Camilla has softened over the years. What once felt like distant, polite endurance slowly gave way to a warmer, more accepting attitude. Though they may never fully share the intimacy or natural ease of a traditional mother and son relationship, there is now an unmistakable shift. Their exchanges carry civility, understanding, and a form of mutual respect. Some even describe it as kinship, subtle yet significant. It's proof that even in the most scrutinized of royal relationships, distance can evolve into a fragile but real bond. Still, the journey to reach that point was far from easy. There's a lot to overcome, the friend explained. And indeed, there was. From the very beginning, both William and his younger brother, Prince Harry, harbored deep distrust and resentment toward Camilla. The root cause was no secret: their unshakable devotion to their late mother, Princess Diana. Diana's pain over Charles and Camilla's long-standing relationship was public knowledge, and her sons grew up acutely aware of how deeply it hurt her. To them, Camilla was a constant reminder of their mother's suffering. This created a wall between them, a wall that neither William nor Harry felt inclined to break down. They were polite, of course. The royal upbringing ensured that, but behind the courtesy, there was a lack of warmth. The princes never felt comfortable confiding in Camilla or opening up about their private lives. For them, she wasn't a safe harbor, but an outsider who had stepped into a role they never wanted filled. Their mistrust deepened further when rumors began circulating that Camilla herself was feeding stories to the press. Reports suggested she leaked certain details to the media, painting herself in a better light while deflecting attention from her controversial past. For William and Harry, who had spent most of their lives wary of the tabloid press and fiercely protective of their mother's image, this felt like betrayal.
You and your brother both directly asked your dad not to marry Camilla.
Yes.
Why?
We didn't think it was necessary. We thought that it was going to cause more harm than good, and that if he was now with his person, that surely that's enough. Why go that far when you don't necessarily need to? We wanted him to be happy, and we saw how happy he was with her.
It confirmed their suspicions that Camilla's loyalties lay not with the family, but with her own reputation. Over time, however, life within the royal fold demanded adaptation. With Charles's long campaign to rehabilitate Camilla's public image and eventually elevate her to queen consort, William had little choice but to adjust. For the sake of the monarchy, and perhaps for his father's happiness, he allowed the edges of his resentment to dull. Public appearances became warmer, private interactions more relaxed, and the frostiness that once defined their relationship gave way to a more tolerable coexistence. Beneath the royal facade lies a history that cannot be erased. Diana's pain, lingering distrust, and scars from media betrayals. Though William respects Camilla as queen and his father's wife, it stems from duty, not affection. Their relationship, like the monarchy itself, remains outwardly united yet inwardly fractured, balancing unresolved wounds with the demands of the future. While the rift between them could have prompted William's decisive action, questions arise about the sold portrait. Could it be the one sold for more than 10 times of its estimated price? Let's delve into the details of the rare portrait. Diana's rare portrait, sold at a fortune. The world has always had an unshakable fascination with Diana, Princess of Wales. Nearly 3 decades after her passing, her image, her story, and her legacy continue to captivate hearts and command attention across the globe. This was once again proven in 2022 when a rare portrait of Diana went under the hammer at Sotheby's, one of the most prestigious auction houses in the world.
A dress once owned by the late Princess Diana has sold at auction for more than $600,000.
What happened stunned even seasoned collectors and art experts. The painting fetched more than $200,000, 10 times higher than the most. This was far more than a simple painting. It was a window into the soul of a woman whose life captured the world's imagination. Crafted with meticulous skill by the late American realist Nelson Shanks, an artist celebrated for his uncanny ability to portray not just the physical likeness, but the inner essence of his subjects, the portrait offered something rare: intimacy. Unlike the poised, radiant smiles or commanding stances that defined Diana in the public eye, here she appeared quietly introspective. Her gaze was directed slightly downward and to her right, as if drawn inward by thoughts only she could see. There was a soft tension in her expression, a gentle, pensive quality that hinted at vulnerability without diminishing her strength. Each brushstroke seemed to whisper stories of her private moments, of the complexities and contradictions beneath the glamour and scrutiny. This delicate balance of grace, strength, and quiet melancholy captivated those who beheld it, creating an almost magnetic allure. Collectors and admirers alike were not simply buying a likeness, they were drawn to a deeply human, profoundly touching glimpse of Diana herself. It was this rare combination of technical brilliance and emotional resonance that pushed the painting to astonishing heights in the art market, transforming it into a treasure far beyond its canvas. Sotheby's had initially valued the painting modestly, expecting it to sell for between $15,000 and $20,000. Yet when the bidding began, it quickly became clear that this was not going to be an ordinary sale. Collectors, perhaps driven by a blend of nostalgia, reverence, and the enduring aura surrounding Diana, pushed the price far beyond anyone's imagination. By the time the gavel came down, the piece had been sold for a staggering $201,600, a figure that underscored just how much Diana's memory remains priceless in the eyes of admirers. The story behind the portrait adds to its allure. The work is not a finished full-body depiction of Diana, but rather a head study, painted in preparation for a larger, full-length portrait. Nelson Shanks had been given the honor of painting Diana in 1994, requiring her to sit for him for over 35 hours across several sessions. It was during these long hours, when the artist had the chance to observe Diana's quiet moments, that he captured this particular image. It represents not only her likeness, but also an intimate glimpse of the person behind the princess, a woman who was often weighed down by her thoughts, her responsibilities, and the complexities of her private life. The full-length portrait that resulted from these sittings once held pride of place in Kensington Palace, one of Diana's official residences. Over time, however, it was moved to Althorpe, the Spencer family's ancestral estate in Northamptonshire, where Diana grew up and where she was later laid to rest. To this day, Althorpe remains a place of pilgrimage for those who wish to connect with her memory. The existence of this head study, and the fact that it came from the same series of sittings, gives it a unique historical significance. Beyond its artistic merit, the sale of this painting is also a testament to Diana's timeless influence. Though she was a member of the royal family, she became known as the People's Princess because of her warmth, compassion, and ability to connect with ordinary people. Her story is filled with moments of joy and tragedy.
We have reports from Paris that Diana, Princess of Wales, has been killed in a car accident, and that her partner, Dodi Fayed, has also been killed.
Triumph and heartbreak, and that complexity continues to inspire books, films, documentaries, and, as this sale shows, even the art market. The Sotheby's auction demonstrates how art and history intertwine. A painting created nearly 3 decades ago has resurfaced to remind the world of Diana's enduring legacy. More than just brushstrokes on canvas, it has become a symbol, a silent yet powerful reflection of the princess whose life, though cut short, remains etched in collective memory. At $201,600, this portrait is not just a piece of art. It is a fragment of history, a frozen moment in time, and a testament to the way Diana still speaks to us, even from beyond the canvas. So, why was the portrait price so high? Could that be the only official portrait of Princess Diana? Obviously not. Now let's dig into the details of Diana's first official portrait. Diana's first official portrait. When the world learned in February 1981 that Lady Diana Spencer was officially engaged to Prince Charles, the atmosphere in Britain was nothing short of electric. The shy, soft-spoken young woman who had captured the Prince of Wales's heart was suddenly thrust into the spotlight, and the nation, indeed the world, couldn't get enough of her. It was only natural that the National Portrait Gallery would seek to honor the moment in a way that would last for generations. They turned to one of Britain's most respected portraitists, Brian Organ, to create Diana's very first official portrait as the soon-to-be Princess of Wales. Organ was not a stranger to royal commissions. Just a year earlier, he had painted Prince Charles for the same gallery, and his skillful, almost romantic approach to portraiture made him the ideal choice. For the gallery's director, John Hayes, there was little doubt. Organ was the man to immortalize Diana at the dawn of her royal journey. Interestingly, Organ himself viewed the task not just as a matter of artistry, but as part of a larger story. He believed that Charles's and Diana's portraits belonged together, reflecting their partnership in both art and life. His vision was that the two works would be displayed side by side, like a visual marriage of two individuals about to step into history. The sitting took place in the yellow drawing room at Buckingham Palace, a setting rich with royal tradition, but also filled with a quiet warmth. It was here that Organ faced the challenge of capturing not a confident woman of the world, but rather a 20-year-old who was still adjusting to her sudden fame. Diana was not yet the global fashion icon who would later redefine royal style. She was still the demure kindergarten assistant from Althorpe, with her shaggy fringe and hesitant smile. Organ approached her with sensitivity, determined to reveal not grandeur, but the essence of her shy charm. What emerged from his brush was a portrait that seemed almost like a mirror, so true to life that viewers felt as though Diana herself were gazing back at them. He caught the subtle tilt of her head, the wide doe-like eyes that conveyed both innocence and curiosity, and above all, the modest smile that would earn her the affectionate nickname, Shy D. Unlike the glamorous gowns and tiaras that would later define her public image, Diana appeared in simple attire, trousers and a plain jumper, the kind of clothing that emphasized her youth and unpretentious nature. It was a choice that spoke volumes. This was not yet the confident humanitarian, nor the dazzling style queen the world would come to adore. This was Diana at the threshold of transformation, unassuming, almost hesitant, but undeniably magnetic. Organ's decision to portray her in this natural and understated way was more than an artistic choice. It was a revelation. In a royal family where formality and stiffness often dominated, here was a future princess captured in a moment of softness and relatability. The painting resonated with the public, not because it showed Diana as a royal figure, but because it showed her as herself, a young woman whose vulnerability only made her more endearing. In retrospect, the portrait is almost prophetic. It froze in time the image of a woman who would soon step into one of the most scrutinized roles in the world, carrying with her both fragility and an inner strength that was not yet visible. The shy die persona that Organ immortalized became the foundation upon which her public identity was built. And while Diana would eventually grow into a figure of remarkable confidence and influence, that first official portrait remains a rare window into her earliest days, a moment before the crown, before the fame, when she was simply Diana Spencer, caught in the delicate space between ordinary life and extraordinary destiny. Was Camilla's case the first instance in which Diana's portrait would be illegally possessed? Let's delve into the details of an established case of theft which included Diana's portrait, the theft of a princess. The story of Jonathan Poole, a Cotswold art dealer turned con man, reads like a script from a crime thriller. For more than 30 years, Poole lived a double life. On the surface, a trusted dealer and respected wildlife painter, but beneath that mask, a calculating thief who betrayed the very people who entrusted him with their treasures. His deception finally caught up with him, and at 69 years old, he now faces 4 years behind bars. But what makes Poole's crimes especially shocking is not just the scale of his theft, nearly £500,000 worth of art, but the type of works he chose to steal. Among the stolen pieces was a portrait of Diana, Princess of Wales, a painting that carried immense cultural and emotional weight. For millions around the world, Diana was not just a royal figure, but the people's princess, a woman who symbolized compassion, grace, and vulnerability. To steal her portrait was more than fraud. It was, in many ways, a theft against public memory and affection. The stolen collection was dazzling, almost like a who's who of 20th century culture. There were paintings of supermodel Kate Moss, Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger, guitarists Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood, drummer Charlie Watts, and bassist Bill Wyman. Poole also handled images of musical giants such as Bob Dylan, Jim Morrison of The Doors, and Bono from U2. Each artwork represented a piece of history, but towering above them in significance was the portrait of Princess Diana. That image was not just paint on canvas. It was a symbol of her enduring presence in the hearts of the public, even after her untimely death in 1997. To know that it was swindled, hidden away, or possibly sold off into the shadows of the private market made the crime sting even deeper. The theft of Diana's likeness gave the entire case a haunting dimension, turning what could have been seen as just another fraud into an act that touched on collective memory and grief. Gloucester Crown Court heard how Poole orchestrated his long-running deceit. Over 3 decades, he manipulated trust, selling art that did not belong to him or secretly taking percentages of profits from legitimate deals. His victims included collectors, a German art dealer, and even celebrities themselves. John Illsley, the bass guitarist of Dire Straits, was among those who discovered that his faith in Poole had been cruelly exploited. Poole's life had once looked promising. An accomplished wildlife artist in his own right, he ran 2 galleries in the Cotswolds, attracting clients and admirers. But financial troubles gradually consumed him, and when his galleries closed, he spiraled into despair. At one point, he even attempted to take his own life. Yet rather than rebuild honestly, he turned deeper into deception, clinging to stolen canvases and fraudulent deals as his means of survival. Efforts have since been made to trace the missing works, including paintings by John Lennon and jazz legend Miles Davis. Some pieces have been returned to their rightful owners, but others, including the Princess Diana portrait, remain lost. The thought that such an intimate representation of Diana might never resurface is, for many, the cruelest cut of all. At an earlier hearing, Poole pleaded guilty to 26 charges of theft and fraud dating from 1986 to 2013. His sentence closes the legal chapter, but the scars left by his actions remain. For the victims, it was not only financial loss, but the betrayal of a man they trusted with pieces of their lives and their history. For the wider public, it is the unsettling knowledge that a portrait of one of the most beloved women of modern times was stolen and may forever remain hidden. Jonathan Poole will serve his years in prison, but his legacy is not of art or wildlife paintings. It is of the stolen face of Princess Diana, a symbol of how greed can tarnish even the most sacred memories. So, do you think Camilla would really sell Diana's portrait? Was William's reaction justified? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.